We're good now. Okay.
So we're ready?
Yeah.
Cool. So what value did you guys place on RightNow Technologies?
I said that a fair value for them would be about 322.5 million because that's the 2.5 times what they last were valued at, and that's in the range that the investors would expect because it said like 2 to 3 times. So I did it in the middle of that.
Okay.
That's how
I kind of had a similar thing. I just kind of met it in the middle from the previous valuations.
So I put it a lot higher because what I did is I put it at 150 million to 200 million because the acquiring company said they were willing to pay a many times sales multiple thing of their revenue run rate, which is $50 million. It said there's like many times meant 3 to 4 at least, if not more. That's just 3 to 4 times 50 million, which is what they're offering.
Wait, so how did you get it? I'm sorry, I think I might have missed something. What did you do again?
So in the reading, in the case itself, when I talked about the option being acquired, the acquiring company offered them, the words were like many times revenue, but they were offering giving it at a revenue run rate, so kind of like the future year, I guess, versus the past year. And so the revenue run rate is 50 million. So it said many times the revenue. I was assuming at least 3 to 4 times the revenue. And 3 to 4 times 50 million would be 150 to 200 million. So that's why I'm not sure they're valued at. It's what they're being offered to be purchased for. So
yeah, but I think it also said like that they would have to meet what the investors would accept too, and that was 2 to 3 times their past valuation, which the most recent one was 2 times. Their most recent one, I think, was be like $258 million is the minimum.
Where'd you guys get that from? I don't see it, but I'm not sure what's happening.
It was in the case.
I know it said after they got.
Sorry, I'm trying to pull up the case right now. I just got home a few minutes ago.
After they got
It
there,
was like near the part that you're talking about, Keaton.
I just know looking here. It says like after they got their post money valuation after the investment was 100 million, so they're at least that, I think, right?
Has she joined us yet?
See, after the Series B round, the post money valuation was 129 million.
Yeah, and it says under the offer, another benchmark capitalist in the deal, so it would be difficult to get. It says it would be difficult to get their consent on an acquisition without a step up of at least 2 to 3 times the last round's post money valuation. So that's how I based it on. Because it was 129 million, and then the minimum of 2 times that was like 258 million is what I got. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Oh, maybe that makes more sense. Yeah.
What number did you come up with?
We were talking about. We got what we based it on what the past post valuation was. The range, I think Joseph did that too, but that's how I did it. So I did the middle of 2 to 3 times. So I did 2.5 times 129 million, which was their last post money evaluation, and that's what the venture capitals would accept it. So that's how I valued it.
Yeah, because that was their most recent valuation, because that wasn't after their Series A, that was their Series B.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, like just right in the middle of, what they estimated 2 to 3 times. Got that number just by taking the average of 2 to 3. So 2.5 times the 129 post value after the Series B round from Summit Partners.
And what I did in mine was I did the 3 to 4 times the revenue, which is $15 million, which is what the company is offering them. And I wonder if, because they're saying the major capitalists don't want to accept an offer that's below that, but if they're not getting an offer below that, doesn't mean they're actually worth 2 to 3 times. I don't think. The class it says they won't accept it unless it's that high, because they'd rather go for an IPO to see if they could get that much out of it.
All in all, it sounded like this John Forte. It sounded like he kind of had a really good business plan. And the other thing I was kind of thinking of when we were talking about how venture capitalists can kind of be a little bit picky is, even though in the beginning he really didn't have much of any revenue, he still went looking for venture capital funding, and he knew he would get it because of his reputation. Because didn't he have a business that he sold for like millions and millions before?
Yeah, I was impressed because he was able to do this same thing twice in a row, like
I know.
successfully in between.
2 out of 2. He better stop now. Keep it a perfect record.
Okay, also curious because it said in the case that when that offer was given, the John Forte guy and Carstensen were both very impressed by the offer. That in their opinion was really high. I'm kind of curious why they thought, because in their opinion it's a great offer, but the VC firm thinks it's too low an offer. That's kind of interesting to me that they disagree on that point.
Yeah, but I think it said they would be willing to meet or exceed that range for the VCs.
No, I agree. That's work with him on that. I just makes me curious, why he views it that way. He's willing to work with and go for what they want, but to him, even the low offer seems like a lot of money to him. So interesting to me. Kind of random fact, really.
Okay. So then the next one was provide a range of values rather than a single number. How did you come to this conclusion? We already kind of talked about it, I think.
I guess my valuation would be very similar to y'all's, even though if I had done a higher number, because it all says many times that, and even 7 could be considered many times. Instead of what 6 or 7, it'd be the exact same as we all came up with, really.
Yeah,
that's just the many times part. I was really local on it.
That's true, because you were saying 3 to 4, and then I looked at it as 2 to 3. So even we could probably find middle ground and agree on that's the low end of your spectrum and the high end of mine. So if you use the post money valuation after Series B funding, we would come up with a very similar answer.
Yeah, awesome. So what's the next question? Wait, sorry. Do you agree with all that?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so the next one is please provide a range of values, because that's what we just did, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so the third one is if Greg's investors seek a 30 to 50% internal rate of return, what value will they expect? So I calculated that one. I did the low ranging at 30%, and I just assumed, because it said that the John Forte guy had 60% equity in his own company. I assumed he would have given about 10% to the other managers, which would leave 20% left over for the VC firm. Not sure if that's really how it went down. I just assumed 20%, and I used the 30% rate of return rate. And so they would need they really wouldn't need very high of an exit rate at all to get that. They'd only need an exit rate of $110 million to get a 30%. Well, that's on their Series A, and it's not kind of Series B. So I guess I should put that in there to that real quick before I use that number.
No, tell her to get off Netflix. I can't hear. It's cutting out.
Do you guys remember their Series B investment was?
What?
How much money did they receive on their Series B investment?
I just know they got 129 million valuation. Let me look.
Series B? Oh, Yeah, post 16 million.
Million again. Okay.
Yeah.
Are we on number 3?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Okay,
Okay, so if they're trying to get a 30, if they had 20% equity, I just say they had that, and they're trying to get a 30% rate of return, they need to sell it for at least $211 million to reach that number. And if they want 50%, they need to go sell for at least a 50% return. They need at least $243 million on the sale. So that's not too bad.
I think that they
Yeah.
could easily reach that based on what the range is that they said they would accept anyways.
Yeah. Now let's say what if they had a if they had a 20% equity stake, but they had like say a full 30, then they would need up to is that right? Why did they do that wrong? Times.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. My phone died, so I was having issues with this laptop, but I guess my microphone's working now. So cool.
My internet, I just had to switch to my phone because my roommates are watching Netflix and it messes me up every week. No, but I think if they sold it for either the 211 or the 243, I feel like that's still good. I think both of those are way achievable. Sorry, that's where I cut out last.
Yeah, because the 211 is 1.64 times what their last post money valuation was. So I think that's pretty reasonable based on their growth and their growth potential too. Are we done with that one then?
So. Okay, how'd you calculate it? What's the equation figure out? Say they invested a total of like $50 million roughly, rounding up.
Yeah.
How do you figure out what a 30% return rate on that would be? Like, what's the total amount going to be for that to equal a 30% rate of return for them? So I think I'm doing this wrong.
I don't know. I didn't calculate that. So if they have 50 million and it was I have them be owning 38% if they have 50 million in the company.
Well, they can't
Didn't
own
they get 16%?
He can't own 30% because he owns 60.
Okay, so if he owns 60, then I'm gonna do.
Well, to calculate the
40.
rate of return, you take the current value minus the original value and then divide it by the original value. And when you take that and times by 100, that's how you get the rate of return.
Well, what do you need to? So, what does the number need to be? So, in order for them to get a rate of return of 30%, what does the total value of the company need to be, though?
Oh, so working backwards?
Yeah, I'm getting confused on that part in my head.
So you have to solve for X.
We're still going off the most recent post valuation number of 129.
Yeah.
let's see.
So that means that's the current value, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then so we're trying to find the original value.
The original value would be 113 right before the Series B. It would be 129 minus the $16 million funding they received from Summit Partners.
So that means that's going to be 6 million.
I thought the
divided
current
by-
value would be what it would be valued at now, though. Aren't we solving for what it would be valued at now?
Oh, yeah.
So that wouldn't that be the 129 being the past, and then
Oh, yeah.
you have it.
So current values are X.
So and then you divide it by the rate
129.
of return you want, which is 30%.
Oh, yeah. 30%.
Two times both sides by 30.
So would it be about 43 million? Or no, I don't know. I mean,
That doesn't make
So-
sense.
is it 38.7 million? Is that what it would be at 30%?
I don't think I'm doing this right because I times both sides by 30%, but then
I
if
think
you
I
add
figured it out.
129, what?
Because they invested a total of, what is it, 32.4 million, and then you multiply that times 1.38, and you get 38% return, which is 44.7 million, and then you divide that number by however much money they equity had in the company or percentages. For me, it's 20%, so that divided by 20% equals 224 million. So they sell for 224 million. Then the VC firm will get a 38% return on their money. And if the VC firm has 30% equity in the company, then they only need to sell for 150 million to get their 38% return.
Okay.
Here we go. Does that make sense?
I did my formula backwards on that one.
Okay.
Because we're divided by the rate of return, right? Because we know that. Or did you not divide it by 30?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
The rate of return, did you divide it by the rate of return?
Here. Where's the screen share? I'll share my screen real quick. Okay, so on here, I just did the rate of return 38%. That's the Series A, Series B. Total that together would equal your 32.4 million. So I just took I took the sum of these two, multiplied it by 1 plus the rate of return to get a total of 44.7 million. And then here you take the 44.7 million, divide by the equity share, which is 20%, or make it 30%, number shrinks. So it just depends on how big their share is. And if they want a 50% return, then you sell it for at least 243 million.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Good one.
Awesome.
Okay.
Okay, so what's the next question?
The next one is provide your analysis of each of the options Greg is considering. Based on your analysis, what should Greg do? Consider Greg's goals as well as the goals is involved in this venture.
The way I calculated that was like Greg doesn't really want money. His only goal he said in the beginning was he wanted to create jobs, like 2,000 jobs in the community. He never said anything about a revenue goal for himself or a profit goal. And so I assume, like he'd be happy with getting like say $50 million. The community has so many millions, he doesn't really need a lot more, but just for his trophy or whatever, to get $50 million. If he did that, and then if he got the rest of the investors, at least 30% return, then he would only need to sell it for $10 million roughly, and everyone would get their the 243 million, no, 210 million minimum. If he sells it for that, then he'll get plenty of money himself, probably closer to $100 million, and they're going to get their desired rate of return, at least their minimum. And the reason why I think he should go ahead and just sell it at that point is because his only goal is to get the jobs, and if he keeps going the way he's going, he'll grow jobs slowly. He's only grown 400 jobs in the past 4 or 5 years. But he can sell to this company and make terms with them to keep the company based there in Montana and to have goals to keep growing it. Then with their resources, he can actually achieve the 2,000 jobs he needs. Otherwise, it could take him another decade or more to get that level of jobs on his own. And doing IPO isn't going to help get any more jobs. All it's going to do is create more value, which isn't what he's into. So I think it's the best option to make his goal as well as meet the appeals goals, at least their minimum goals, is just to sell it now.
Do you think an acquisition would bring more jobs to Bozeman, Montana, or do you think the acquisition would kind of move them away from that Montana-based, function that they are right now?
That's what I was worried about. So in my analysis, I wrote that you'd have to be able to negotiate terms, perhaps the cost of some of the valuation, but if you can negotiate terms that would keep it Montana, because I thought if they're going to buy it, they're probably going to move it out of Montana, which would totally ruin his whole purpose. So if he can negotiate terms to keep it there in Bozeman or wherever he wanted to be kept at, then I think it would be able to grow and create the jobs. But if they're not willing to make those terms, then I definitely don't think he should be selling it to them. So my opinion is really based or contingent on the fact that he can negotiate terms to keep it there.
Yeah. I kind of agree with you. Am I echoing?
I think you're good.
Oh, okay. I just must be echoing on my side. What I was going to say is I kind of agree with you in the sense that I think he should just sell it, because an acquisition too, it's yeah, he might be able to fulfill his goal if he's able to negotiate those terms. But I don't remember if I read this in the case, but what I've been noticing is a lot of companies that, acquiesce in another company, they want that founder to remain in the company. So, they can keep their goals. And I just don't see him being chief, operating officer, the chief, whatever. I don't see him being an executive for this company. And I think that's what it would kind of lead to with an acquisition. I don't think he would want to stay around because, like you said, he's kind of already got money for retirement. He doesn't need another job. He doesn't need the 60-hour work weeks. I think it would be smart just to sell the company now. And like I said, I don't know. What did you guys think too of the stock option? Did you guys think that was favorable, or do you think you would try to negotiate a cash price deal?
I think they should negotiate a cash deal.
I thought the IPO could get a lot more money, but like we were both just saying, money is not his goal. And so it'd be a lot more work on his part for money he doesn't need or necessarily want. I mean, he's got millions already, and he's going to get tons of millions of more money, so he's not in need of that. It'd be way more work and more stress on his part. I'm sure the investors, the other people, would love to do the IPO in a couple of years whenever they're ready for it and get a huge return. But they're going to get a big enough return anyway to meet their minimum goals, so it doesn't really matter. I don't see any appeal to it hardly, unless they're just going to get really greedy at that point.
My thing is, I think, because like you were saying, he's not in it for the money, and he already retired, and he tried it, and he went back because he didn't like being retired. So I think personally he should keep it and try to achieve his goal, just because that's his type of personality, and he's not in it for the money, but he's in it for helping the community that he's in more so. And if he retires again, he's gonna get antsy and not like being retired because he already tried it. He's just that personality that wants to be busy, and so he likes having the work to do. And so I think that because of that aspect of him, he could be able to get the jobs. Plus, since they refocused, I think that will help them a lot more, because part of the reason they probably didn't grow is because of the bubble bursting and having the recession. But now that they're coming out of that, they can continue to work on it, and they've shown that they can refocus and continue to be on trend in the industry. So I feel like you should keep it.
Also, it made me think that, yeah, like doing the IPO would be like a lot of work. However, I feel like that's also what, like, he needs to stay busy in that aspect. Like, he likes the stretch. And I think that if it involved other people that he can employ, then that's an option he would do, because he isn't so focused on money, you know?
I think the IPO could be good, but I think they need to wait. I know there was another business that's really similar to them that was entering the stock market. And I kind of liked the thoughts of him, and I forget the lady's name, but they were like, maybe we should just sit back and see what happens to their company. Because, maybe they're going to, like really shoot up and rise, or maybe they're going to fall and crash and burn. So I kind of like that strategy of, like, I think an IPO could yield some good success in the future. But I think that right now, maybe sitting back and maybe watching his competitor, I mean, obviously there's some disadvantages to that, because if it booms, then, I mean, he kind of missed out. But if it just like crashes and burns, then I don't know, maybe they'll be feeling pretty good about not having an IPO.
Yeah.
He also brought up the distractions too. And I feel like that's a really good point, because he wants to focus on the customer relationship and helping the customer and be that focus. And with the IPO, they could get easily distracted from that vision. And I feel like right now they should focus on building and growing instead of trying to do the IPO. Plus, like you said, it's strategically, I don't think it'd be good for them to come out right now, because then you have two competitors competing against each other too. And so they could end up with that, having two similar companies coming and having an IPO close to each other. That could affect how well the IPO goes.
Yeah. And then I think it also comes back to what Keaton was saying too. IPOs don't create jobs, so I mean, it really just depends on how he prioritizes his goals or his vision for the company. Well, did you guys see what ended up happening in the case? Did you guys see the final result?
Did it ever say?
I ended up looking it up online because
I just did that just now. Actually, I was just reading it.
Yeah, so I guess they kept the business to like 2011, so they kept growing. They had $185 million in revenue, and in 2011 they sold it to Oracle for $1.5 billion.
But they only ever employed 1,000 people, and that was across like 5 or 6 states and like 3 or 4 countries.
Yep.
So unfortunately, it didn't create 1,000 jobs in Montana, but it did create 1,000 jobs for.
You can say you don't care about money, but when there's a $1.5 billion in the face, I don't know.
They gave it to me, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we covered everything.
Cool.
That's all. I can't think of anything else to put on there. I think we got a pretty good conclusion.
Beautiful.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
No problem.
See you next week.
All right, see you later.
Adios.
See ya.